There is a moment, precise moment, when silence becomes louder than any insult, any threat, any desperate attempt to provoke you. Most people never reach that moment. They react, they explode, they explain, they defend, and in doing so, they hand over their power. But the few who understand the architecture of control know this truth. Silence is not the absence of response. Silence is a strategic response, a deliberate weapon, a psychological blade with no visible edge. Machiavelli warned rulers of his time that, if you reveal your mind too quickly, you hand your enemies the tools to destroy you. In other words, your words make you predictable. Your silence makes you dangerous. Today, you will learn how silence operates as a weapon of power, dominance, and psychological leverage. You will learn why kings, generals, and modern manipulators use silence to control narratives, bend emotions, and force others to reveal themselves first. This is not about being passive. This is about becoming unreadable, unshakable, untouchable. Welcome to the art of weaponized silence, a skill that will change the way people treat you, fear you, and respect you. The core idea: silence exposes people. It forces their insecurities to speak for them. It pulls out their fears, their desires, and their true intentions. Most people crumble when you stop giving them reactions, because reactions are emotional oxygen. Take that oxygen away, and you watch their mask fall apart. This script will break down 10 brutal lessons on how to use silence as strategic power through the eyes of Machiavelli, dark psychology, and the hidden laws of human behavior. After every lesson, you will hear an effective affirmation, a psychological imprint, designed to deepen the message and anchor the mindset. Let's begin. Lesson 1: Silence forces others to reveal themselves. When you stay silent, the other person is trapped in a psychological vacuum. Human beings hate vacuums. They rush to fill them with explanations, justifications, excuses, or confessions. The great strategist Sun Tzu said, "Make your opponent speak first, and you own the battlefield." Silence triggers this effect instantly. Imagine a negotiation. The other side offers a number. Instead of countering, you simply sit back and wait. Within seconds, they panic. They second-guess themselves. They start talking again. They raise the offer. They reveal their limits. And you win without a fight. This is the power of silence. You learn everything while revealing nothing. Effective affirmation: my silence exposes truth. Others reveal themselves while I remain in control. Lesson 2: Silence destroys manipulators. Manipulators rely on emotional reaction. They poke you to get a response. They provoke you to gain leverage. They confuse you to control your attention. But when you don't react, when you stay calm, when you remain perfectly still, you break their entire strategy. A manipulator's greatest fear is an opponent who cannot be provoked. Machiavelli wrote, "He who cannot be moved cannot be ruled." Your silence is the wall they cannot climb. Real-life example: a coworker tries to guilt-trip you. You don't argue. You don't explain. You simply respond with nothing. The guilt trip collapses because they have no emotional handle to grab onto. Effective affirmation: my silence disarms manipulation. They cannot control what they cannot provoke. Lesson 3: Silence makes you unreadable. People fear what they cannot predict. This is a universal psychological law. When you talk too much, you expose your desires, your fears, your insecurities, your weaknesses. But when you speak only with intention, you become unreadable. Robert Greene called this the mystery effect. Unpredictable people command more respect, not because they are loud, but because no one knows what they will do next. A silent person appears deep, intelligent, powerful, and in control, even if they're not. Your silence creates a narrative in people's minds, and that narrative is almost always more powerful than the truth. Effective affirmation: my silence makes me unreadable. The unknown becomes my armor. Lesson 4: Silence makes you emotionally untouchable. There is a simple truth Machiavelli understood. People control you through your emotions. If they can make you angry, they can dominate you. If they can make you defend yourself, they can corner you. If they can make you react, they can predict you. But silence breaks emotional chains. When you don't react to disrespect, when you stay composed under pressure, when you refuse to give your emotions away, you shift the power dynamic instantly. You become the one observing, not the one being observed. You become the one who decides, not the one being decided for. Effective affirmation. My silence protects my emotions. I choose what deserves my reaction. Lesson 5. Silence makes people chase your validation. Humans crave acknowledgement, crave attention, crave certainty. So when you pull back, when you become quieter, when you become harder to read, people begin chasing you. Your attention becomes rare. Your words become valuable. Your presence becomes a reward. This is why the most charismatic leaders speak less, not more. Their silence creates distance. Distance creates longing. Longing creates attraction. The less they speak, the more people lean in. Effective affirmation. My silence increases my value. People are drawn to what they cannot easily have. Lesson 6. Silence breaks the ego of the aggressor. Bullies, narcissists, and loud egos thrive on attention. They want to dominate your emotional space, but silence starves them. Think of a person yelling, expecting a reaction. When they get none, their power evaporates. Their ego collapses into the void your silence creates. Even Jung wrote, "The one who is not provoked holds the superior position." Your silence frustrates them, confuses them, weakens them. You are not fighting them. You are letting them fight themselves. Effective affirmation. My silence starves aggression. Their ego collapses while I remain unshaken. Lesson 7. Silence gives you negotiation power. In any negotiation, the one who speaks less holds the advantage. Words reveal limits. Words expose urgency. Words show how badly you want something. But silence? Silence communicates strength without effort. Picture this. You present an offer. The other person expects you to justify it, soften it, negotiate against yourself. Instead, you stay perfectly quiet. You force them to confront the weight of your presence. You make them fill the silence with concessions, reasoning, and eventually surrender. Machiavelli wrote, "Power belongs to the one who dictates the terms." Silence dictates terms without you saying a single word. Effective affirmation. My silence gives me leverage. Others move while I remain still. Lesson 8. Silence turns chaos into clarity. Most people speak to escape their own thoughts. Noise is their shield. Overthinking is their prison. But silence, intentional silence, cuts through the chaos. It becomes a psychological reset button. When you stop responding instantly, when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop defending your every move, you gain clarity. You see people for who they are, not who they pretend to be. You see situations objectively, not emotionally. You make decisions from strength, not fear. This is why the greatest generals practice stillness before battle. Because silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. Effective affirmation. My silence gives me clarity. What is hidden becomes visible when I grow still. Lesson 9. Silence forces respect without demanding it. Respect gained through force is temporary. Respect gained through presence is permanent. Silence builds presence. Silence makes people weigh their words around you. Silence creates an invisible boundary, one that others instinctively avoid crossing. People respect those who don't over-explain themselves, who don't beg to be understood, who don't react emotionally, because silence communicates. I know my worth. I don't need to prove it. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. They are no longer noise. They become commands, truths, decisions. The fewer words you use, the more powerful you sound. Effective affirmation. My silence commands respect. My presence speaks louder than explanation. Lesson 10. Silence makes you immune to insults and attacks. When someone insults you, they expect one of three things: a reaction, a defense, or a loss of composure. If you give them any of these, they win. But when you give them nothing, when you stay silent, When you remain calm, unfazed, unreachable, they lose power immediately, because your silence communicates something devastating. Your words do not reach me. This is psychological dominance at its finest. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius practiced this constantly. His philosophy: if it does not harm your character, ignore it. Silence protects your dignity without confrontation. It's the highest form of self-control and the deepest form of power. Effective affirmation: my silence makes me untouchable. I am beyond their reach. Lesson 11. Silence reveals who respects you and who fears losing you. Here is one of the darkest truths of human relationships. When you pull back, people reveal their real priorities. Some will chase you. Some will panic. Some will show effort they never showed before. And others, the ones who only wanted your attention, will disappear. Silence filters your circle. It exposes loyalty, interest, and hidden intentions. If someone values you, they will step closer when you grow quiet. If someone only valued the benefits you provided, they will step away. Silence is the ultimate test. One that requires no argument, no explanation, only patience. Effective affirmation: my silence reveals truth. Those meant for me stay. The rest fade away. Lesson 12. Silence makes you a master observer. Speaking distracts you. Talking pulls you into the emotional battlefield. Words make you lose awareness of the room, but silence turns you into the watcher, the analyzer, the strategist. When you observe, you see micro-expressions, shifts in tone, contradictions in behavior, flaws in arguments, weak points in character. This is the foundation of Machiavellian mastery, seeing what others cannot hide. And silence gives you that vision. When you remain still, others become animated. When you remain calm, others become expressive. When you remain quiet, others reveal everything. Observation is intelligence. Silence is how you acquire it. Effective affirmation: my silence sharpens my perception. I see what others try to hide. Lesson 13. Silence makes people doubt their own assumptions. There is a psychological phenomenon called projection collapse. It happens when someone expects you to react a certain way, but you don't. Your silence interrupts their mental script. It forces them to confront their own assumptions. If they thought you'd panic, but you stay calm, they start questioning their ability to read you. If they thought you'd get angry, but you remain silent, they begin doubting their influence over you. If they thought you'd chase, but you don't, they start fearing they've misjudged your value. This doubt is powerful, because when people doubt their assumptions, they adjust their behavior. Silence subtly reprograms how people treat you. As Machiavelli wrote, men judge more by the eye than by the hand. Meaning, people react to what you show, not what you feel. Silence shows control. Silence shows depth. Silence shows strength. And people adjust to that strength instinctively. Effective affirmation: my silence creates doubt in their minds. I control how they perceive me. Lesson 14. Silence trains you to control your first impulse. Every mistake you've ever made in anger started with an impulse. Every confession you regret began with an impulse. Every apology you didn't owe anyone was given because of an impulse. Silence kills impulsiveness. When you teach yourself to pause before you speak, you create a gap between emotion and action. In that gap, you find intelligence, strategy, power. This is what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, "The nearer a man is to calm, the nearer he is to strength." When you pause, even for 3 seconds, you regain full command over your emotions. This single skill will save you from unnecessary battles, manipulative traps, and decisions made from weakness. Silence isn't just a weapon against others. It's a weapon against your own self-destructive impulses. Effective affirmation: my silence is my discipline. I master myself before I master the world. Lesson 15. Silence creates psychological gravity around you. Some people have a presence that fills the room, without them saying a word. This presence is not charisma. It's not charm. It's not confidence in the traditional sense. is gravity, a quiet, grounded, immovable energy that pulls attention toward them. How is that created? Through controlled silence. When you speak only with intention, when you move slowly, when you hold eye contact without rushing to fill the space, you create an aura of intensity. People begin to sense that you are not ordinary, that you are not easily influenced, that you are not like the rest. Robert Greene describes this as commanding attention through stillness. Not loudness, not intensity, stillness. Silence is how you create that aura. Effective affirmation. My silence gives me presence. People feel my strength before I speak. Lesson 16. Silence turns emotional pain into power. There are moments in life that feel unbearable. Betrayal, humiliation, disrespect, abandonment. The normal reaction is emotional explosion. Crying, ranting, seeking answers. But silence transforms pain, turns suffering into fuel, into reflection, into evolution. When you remain silent during your darkest moments, you activate what Carl Jung called shadow integration. You take the pain inwards, break it down, absorb its lessons, and emerge stronger. Not bitter, not broken, sharper. Silence is where self-transformation happens, where the weak version of you dies, and the unbreakable version is born. Effective affirmation. My silence transforms my pain. I rise stronger than what tried to break me. Lesson 17. Silence creates unequal psychological distance. The most powerful people in any relationship, personal or professional, always maintain controlled distance. Not too close, not too available, not too eager. Silence is what maintains that distance. When you're not always reachable, not always responding, not always explaining, you create a psychological gap. In that gap, people place value on you. They think about what you're thinking. They guess what you're feeling. They analyze what you might do next. This asymmetry gives you control, because the one who is being thought about has more power than the one doing the thinking. Silence makes others invest attention in you. And attention is the foundation of influence. Effective affirmation. My silence creates distance. Distance creates value. Value creates power. Lesson 18. Silence allows you to win without fighting. Sun Tzu called this the supreme art of war, to subdue the enemy without fighting. Silence accomplishes this effortlessly. Arguments that could explode die in your calmness. Manipulators who seek conflict burn out in your stillness. People trying to provoke you end up exhausting themselves. This is psychological jujitsu. You use their energy against them. You let them waste their ammunition in the dark, while you stand untouched. By the time they realize they've been battling shadows, you've already won. Silence is not retreat. Silence is strategy. Effective affirmation. My silence wins battles I never have to fight. The final integration, the art of weaponized silence. You now stand at the edge of a power very few people ever learn to wield. Not strength in the physical sense. Not dominance built on shouting, intimidation, or emotional outbursts, but the quiet kind, the strategic kind, the kind Machiavelli admired most. Power built on calmness, control, and calculated silence. Everything you've learned so far feeds into one final truth. Silence is not retreat. Silence is the highest form of strategy. Silence is the moment before the strike. Silence is the atmosphere of the powerful. Most people will never understand this, because most people are prisoners of their impulses, prisoners of their emotions, prisoners of their need to react. But you have stepped outside that prison. Let's tie every lesson together. Summary. All 18 lessons of silent power. 1. Silence forces others to reveal themselves. People fill the void with truth you didn't even ask for. 2. Silence destroys manipulators. You break their strategy by refusing to react. 3. Silence makes you unreadable. Mystery creates power. 4. Silence makes you emotionally untouchable. No reaction means no control. 5. Silence makes people chase your validation. Rarity creates value. 6. Silence breaks the ego of the aggressor. They crumble in the presence of your calm. 7. Silence gives you negotiation power. The one who speaks least controls most. 8. Silence turns chaos into clarity. Stillness reveals truth. 9. Silence forces respect without demanding it. Presence words. 10. Silence makes you immune to insults. You rob your enemies of satisfaction. 11. Silence reveals who values you. It filters your circle instantly. 12. Silence trains your observation. You see everything. You miss nothing. 13. Silence makes people question themselves. Doubt shifts the balance of power. 14. Silence kills impulsiveness. You act from strategy, never emotion. 15. Silence creates psychological gravity. People feel your presence without you trying. 16. Silence turns pain into self-transformation. Stillness builds the unbreakable version of you. 17. Silence creates unequal distance. Distance creates value. Value creates influence. 18. Silence allows you to win without fighting. The strongest battles are won without raising your voice. When you integrate these lessons, you embody a new identity. Person who speaks with purpose, thinks before reacting, observes before deciding, and uses silence not as weakness, but as a weapon. What would your life look like if you stopped reacting? If you stopped explaining? If you stopped giving people the emotional access they never earned? What would your world become? If you used silence not to hide, but to dominate, people would treat you differently. They would hesitate before crossing you. They would speak more carefully. They would feel your presence long before you speak. Because silence is not emptiness. Silence is energy. Silence is control. Silence is the unmistakable signature of someone who cannot be shaken. And now, that someone is you. Your silence will no longer be passive. It will be precise, strategic, sharp, a weapon forged from discipline, self-awareness, and power. Just as Machiavelli warned, he who masters his own nature becomes master over others. You have taken the first step toward becoming emotionally untouchable. If this message awakened something in you, if you felt the shift, if you recognized the power you've been giving away, take it back. Claim your silence. Claim your strength. And if you want more lessons on dark psychology, stoic control, and Machiavellian strategy, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment saying, "I will use my silence." Your transformation begins now. Not with noise, not with words, but with the weapon you carry quietly, your silence.